the entire contents of the document submitted to you in response to your letter.
Again, I say the presumption is that they would give to me correct information.
And that presumption was never verified by you.
I could not verify it. I cannot go to the bank. Could not do that.
Yes.
Remember yesterday you were talking about confidentiality of bank deposits?
Yes.
To which I retorted that, are you admitting that these bank deposits exist?
Well, how could I make that? I'm the one propounding the question. Are you cross-examining me?
I'm reminding you about what transpired yesterday, Mr. Mr. Justice.
Well, I have not forgotten what transpired yesterday. Precisely the basis of my cross-examination, my additional direct questioning now. Because you have people, according to you, who have assisted you in connection with the determination of the truth.
With the analysis.
Allow me to finish. If Your Honor, please, may we request that the witness be reminded.
Okay.
Allow me to finish.
I submit, Your Honor.
Yes, all right. Now, in that, I withdraw the form. In that analysis that you made, did you ask for the assistance of any of the people in your office to determine the truth of what appears in this report submitted to you by the AMLA before?
No, Your Honor. We are not allowed to determine the truth of what appears there.
I thought the purpose of your request for assistance is to be able to ascertain the truth of the
determine the existence.
Wait, allow me to finish.
Sorry. Mea culpa.
Thank you. I thought your purpose was to ask the assistance of the AMLA to enlighten you on what they have in connection with this complaint or the various complainants before you. Right?
Let me read my letter to the AMLA. Saan na yung letter ko? 24, February 24. My request was for the assistance of the AMLAC vis-a-vis the present investigation being conducted by our office on account of the letter complaint of Riza Ontiveros et al. By way of providing relevant information bearing on the financial transactions, if any, of the respondent and related transactions.
In the reply that you received, was there any statement relative to the financial transactions that you were asking assistance?
They furnished me a copy of the 17-page document and the 4-page summary of transactions.
What transactions are you referring to, Madam Ombudsman?
Bank transactions, financial, to be more accurate.
They are transactions involving deposits and withdrawals, nothing more.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. Were you able to ascertain whether these bank accounts reflected in the report are actually existing?
Again, I said earlier, how can I determine if they're actually existing when I cannot go to the bank?
I'm not asking you how you can determine, but what I'm asking you is, did you determine? Your office
already answered. She said already that she did not go to the
bank.
To the bank, she did not go to the records. She relied on the report of AMLA, and she presumed the veracity of the report of an agency authorized by law to handle this type of problem.
Yes, but were you able to ascertain whether there is any investigation conducted by the AMLA in connection? Allow me to finish, and I'll give you all the opportunity.
Madam Ombudsman, will you kindly allow him to finish so that...
Mr. Presiding Justice, it was he who talked.
Mea culpa. I hope he's not appointed Ombudsman, Your Honor.
I hope so,
there will be a conflict of authority already.
Who was talking?
I was the one, Your Honor. I'm sorry.
See, the presiding officer is getting confused, cannot get who is talking. By the way, will you please object if you want to object, so that I will know that you are objecting to the question.
I was objecting, Your Honor, please.
All right.
All right, anyway,
There is no question, ma'am.
will you kindly repeat your question?
All right. If there is any, because I do not recall making any question. Based on your examination of the report given to you by the AMLA people, were you able to ascertain which of these accounts mentioned in your power presentation are still existing?
No, Your
Objection, Your Honor, please.
Already answered.
May I object?
Let the witness answer.
No, Your Honor.
All right. So as of today, based from your knowledge, the court cannot deduce which of these, based from your testimony, there could be no conclusion or finding to be made by the court which of these accounts allegedly still exist.
Objection, Your Honor. May I?
What is the basis of the objection?
The objection is based on the fact that the witness has repeatedly said that she has relied on presumptions of law, specifically Rule 131, Section 2, and Section 44 of Rule 130. Rule 130, Section 44 establishes the presumption that entries in official records made in the performance of duty by a public officer of the Philippines or by a person in the performance of a duty enjoined by law are prima facie evidence of the facts stated therein. Moreover, under Rule 131, Section 2, it is a conclusive presumption that official duty has been regularly performed. And the witness has already answered that she has relied on those presumptions when she dealt with the information from the AMLA.
So that we finish this, let the ombudsman answer. She's a very intelligent witness.
Your question, Mr. Justice, is that whether I verified if these
Whether you
accounts
whether
still
you came
exist.
to know which of these accounts is still existing and whether they still contain deposits.
You said as of today.
At the time when you examined
No,
it,
you stated as of today.
I'm not saying that.
No, you
That's
said
not
that.
part of the
Let's
question.
go by the transcript of stenography.
I'm
notes.
withdrawing that. I'm
All
asking
right.
you another question.
So no, the answer is no.
All right.
No, you did not. All right. That's all, Your Honor.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Ombudsman.
Recross?
Thank you too.
Nothing, Your Honor, please.
No more recross?
No more recross.
All right. Thank you, Madam.
We are
Mr.
through with
President.
Ombudsman.
we are through
Mr.
with the
President.
witness, Your Honor. Meron.
Mr. President.
Just a minute. I just want to clarify. Are you? Are the two panels through with the ombudsman?
I'm through with the redirect, Your Honor, and there is an announcement by my colleague here that he has no recross.
That's precisely. I'm asking you if you are through,
We are through. Defense is through, Your Honor.
or the defense is through with the witness about the prosecution.
We are through, Your Honor, please.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Madam Ombudsman, thank you for
Mr. President.
bearing with us. Yes.
Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago wishes to ask a few
Ano?
questions.
Ikaw.
The gentle lady from
Senator
Iloilo.
Gingona, Drilon, Legarda,
All
and
right.
Cayetano.
All right. The judge,
Pangilinan.
the members of the impeachment court want to posit questions. Now, please go ahead.
May I ask, Mr. President, if the Senate engineer can put on all the lights? Thank you. I will ask first a very simple question. RA number 6770, the Ombudsman Act, provides, and I read, Section 22, investigatory power. The office of the Ombudsman shall have the power to investigate any serious misconduct in office allegedly committed by officials removable by impeachment for the purpose of filing a verified complaint for impeachment if warranted. Question. Under the law, Ms. Witness, as Ombudsman, you can investigate any serious misconduct allegedly committed by the Chief Justice. Since an impeachment trial is now ongoing, the only purpose for your present investigation should be to file a verified complaint for impeachment by December of this year. Here is the question. Do you intend, if the defendant is acquitted, to file a second complaint for impeachment this year?
Your Honor, it is the House which determines whether, on the basis of the data it receives...
I'm not asking about who decides. I am asking about a provision in the Ombudsman
Yes.
Act which provides, Section 22. The Office of the Ombudsman shall have power to investigate, etc., for the purpose of filing a verified complaint for impeachment if warranted. That is your job. So is that job being undertaken now by the Ombudsman with its present investigation? Since there's no point investigating, an impeachment trial is already ongoing. Therefore, under Section 22, your sole purpose could only be to file a second complaint for impeachment after the one-year ban provided by law. Therefore, I'm asking you the question, do you intend, if in this first impeachment trial the defendant is acquitted, do you intend to file a second impeachment complaint against him after the one-year ban?
Madam Senator, if the charges presently being investigated by the Office of the Ombudsman are not included in the impeachment charges, then I don't see any reason why there should be no chance to file another impeachment complaint.
I'm sorry, I don't get the question very correctly. The answer very correctly. Is your answer a yes or a no? Is that a yes? You are
For the purpose
intending
of
to file.
filing
Yes,
an impeachment complaint,
that's right.
if that is warranted after the investigation, conclusion of the investigation.
Yes, that is what the law says. For the purpose of filing a verified complaint for impeachment, if warranted. If you think it is warranted,
Then
your only purpose will be to file a second impeachment complaint. Isn't that so? Is that a fair question?
If it's warranted, we will.
All right, thank you. That is the only question. So we are placing the defendant on notice that even if this court acquits him, he can expect a second impeachment complaint by December this year. For that is what the law says. The Ombudsman cannot investigate unless it is for the sole and only purpose of filing a verified complaint for impeachment if warranted. You are so warned.
May I be allowed to speak, Your Honor?
That is for the presiding officer too.
Yeah.
May I please be
You
allowed
may answer.
to qualify
Yes.
that nothing will prevent the Ombudsman from filing for future proceedings if warranted.
I take that as a yes. I am a student of constitutional law. Let me now go to certain questions of constitutional law. This is going to be a little tedious, but still it needs to be raised. I am very intrigued by the worldview of the Ombudsman on the relationship between a constitutional provision or provisions on the one hand and the provisions of laws passed by Congress on the other hand. I have to start with the fundamental principle, and I hope you'll all forgive me, that the Constitution is a written limitation of the powers of state. It is not a written grant of state power. 4, the fear always is that government might turn tyrannical against its own citizens. In fact, reflecting this fear, our Constitution specifically provides in the Declaration of Policy in Section 1, sovereignty resides in the people and all government authority emanates from them. I draw from this background the conclusion that if there is any doubt, the doubt must be resolved in favor of the rights of the citizen and against the powers of the state. With that preface, let me now proceed. First, I would like to recite the constitutional provisions of the powers of the Ombudsman, which appear to be very plenary, infinite, and wide-ranging. These are the provisions of the Constitution in Article 11, and I will qualify them by saying that Congress passed a law called the Ombudsman Act of 1989, virtually copying the constitutional provision. Under Section 13, the Office of the Ombudsman shall have the following powers, functions, and duties. 5, request any government agency for assistance and information necessary in the discharge of its responsibilities, and to examine, if necessary, pertinent records and documents. Section 33, duty to render assistance to the Office of the Ombudsman. Any officer or employee of any department, bureau, or office, subdivision, agency, or instrumentality of the government, including government-owned or controlled corporations and local governments, when required by the Ombudsman, his deputy, or the special prosecutor, shall render assistance to the Office of the Ombudsman. Finally, Section 15, Paragraph 8, the powers of the Ombudsman. Administer oaths, etc., including the power to examine and have access to bank accounts and records. These are the broad language employed by the Constitution and virtually copied in the law passed by Congress, the Ombudsman Act of 1989. But in juxtaposition to these broad constitutional powers of the Ombudsman, we also have certain laws passed by Congress, which includes, naturally, both the House and the Senate. One of them is the Foreign Currency Deposit Act, which provides, Section 8, secrecy of foreign currency deposits. All foreign currency deposits, etc., are hereby declared as and considered of an absolutely confidential nature, and, except upon the written permission of the depositor, in no instance shall such foreign currency deposits be examined, inquired, or looked into by any person, government official, bureau, or office, whether judicial or administrative or legislative or any other entity, whether public or private. That law is still existing, the Foreign Currency Deposit Act. So immediately we are faced with a question: how broad are the powers of the Ombudsman? Or should we adopt the worldview or the mindset that the Ombudsman's powers are unlimited as long as they are listed, they are among the list that are born in our Constitution? I was citing the Foreign Currency Deposit Act. Now let me cite...
May I request the lady to wrap up where we have a rule and my attention is being called.
May I request for extension of time,
Yes.
please? Thank you. That could be 2 plus 2 equals 4 minutes. Let me go to the AMLAC Act. It says, in effect, because I've been asked to shorten my question, I was trying to lay the background so that it would all be clear. In effect, under the AMLA Act, the AMLC, or the Council, should first find probable cause, then it should file the complaint before the Department of Justice or the Ombudsman, who shall then conduct the preliminary investigation of the case. That is what the law says. So, in effect, therefore, I will just go immediately to the question to follow the injunction. Question: it appears that you take the position that the power of the Ombudsman under the Constitution to request the AMLC for assistance and information should prevail over the procedure provided in the AMLA and even over the decision of the Supreme Court. I'm referring to the Eugenio case, where the Supreme Court said there is this favor towards construing these exceptions in such a manner that would authorize unlimited discretion on the part of the government or of any party seeking to enforce those exceptions and inquire into bank deposits. If there are doubts in upholding the absolutely confidential nature of bank deposits against affirming the authority to inquire into such accounts, then such doubts must be resolved in favor of the former. Is it your position, Madam, that the powers of the Ombudsman under the Constitution override the provisions of the AMLA as passed by Congress and the Eugenio case, which I just quoted, as decided by the Supreme Court? That is the question. And then I'll have a second one.
I must just abide by what the provisions of the Ombudsman law provides. Until the provision is declared unconstitutional, I must abide by it, Your Honor.
So, can you please respond to this question? You mean that your powers as enumerated in the Constitution override the laws passed by Congress, such as AMLA law, the Judicial Bank Secrecy Deposit Law, the Foreign Currency Deposit Law, and even the case of Eugenio?
I invite your attention, Your Honor, to the AMLA law, Section 3, subsection B.
If you could read it to me, please.
I will. Covered transaction is a transaction
I am
in
familiar
cash
with that.
or
So,
other
since I'm
equivalent
under very
monetary.
limited time.
All right. Section 3, C.
Yes.
3C, it says, monetary instrument refers to coins or currency of legal tender of the Philippines
Yes.
or of any other country.
So what is the point of your answer?
My point is that dollars are covered by the...
There is no question about
No.
that.
Okay.
The issue
So-
here is that under the AMLA law, first, it is the council must conduct a fact-finding system, and then if it finds probable cause, refer the matter to you for preliminary investigation. But you did not follow this procedure. Plus, there is a provision in the same law that provides that you must first go file a petition in court and get a court order before AMLA can answer your question.
Yes.
That is the focus of my question.
Yes, Your Honor, but this applies only for cases involving money laundering.
That is your position, that
Yes.
these provisions apply only to money laundering cases. So let me go to the next question. Your position would logically lead to the conclusion that the bank accounts of any public officer can be opened on mere request by the Ombudsman without any court order. But let me place that question in context. Under the Ombudsman Act, the Ombudsman has no disciplinary authority over impeachable officials, members of Congress, and the judiciary. So let me repeat the question, and then I will, because I'm under time constraints. Are you of the opinion, therefore, that should somebody file a complaint against any of us senators or members of the House, you can just go straight to AMLA and ask for our records without going to the court or without waiting for probable cause to be found by the council itself?
That would depend on the complaint, Your Honor.
Yes, of course, it will depend on the complaint, but suppose, hypothetically, that you find that the complaint is warranted. Is that your view, that you can just act on your own?
It would
sua
depend-
sponte?
It would depend on the nature of the complaint.
I
Your
know
Honor.
that, but suppose that after all your own internal procedures, and you have made a decision that the complaint is worthy of further consideration, is it your considered opinion that, as in this case, you can just go direct to AMLA and not follow the procedures in the AMLA law?
Your Honor, again, I said it would depend on the complaint.
Well, you're fudging your answer, Mr.
No,
Witness.
you said it's... I said
You
if
are
it's
arguing with a senator
I'm
judge.
sorry, mea culpa.
I accept the apology.
Noted.
Next. Majority Floor Leader.
Senator Gingola, Mr.